Hey everybody, I am back from lack of activity. There is a reason for that. Um, I had a I had a lot of homework to do because my school gave me summer homework, and homework comes first than anything else. But I am back to update, and I can't wait to read this because I think we're entering some exciting parts of the story right now. I have my cat over here with me right now, so I'm hoping she doesn't make any noise while I read. So I'm trusting her on this. Alright, I might as well just get on with the story because I'm pretty sure some of you are waiting for this. I'll just say once again, I'm sorry for my lack of activity. Rough days. Alright, I'm gonna begin chapter 4 and do as you wish. Follow along or just listen. And the link to the story is down below in the description. Alright, let's get it started. He retaliated faster than I had anticipated, but then I should have expected nothing less from the fastest thing alive. Sonic's fist crossed my nose and crunched cartilage. Hot, thick blood coursed down my face and past my lips. The restraining part of my brain snapped in two, and I felt his fury come rushing through my veins like a drug. I leapt forward, grabbing the blue hedgehog by the throat and acting on pure, unadulterated instinct. My free hand bashed into his stomach twice before he wrestled away from me and tumbled to the right. He regained his footing and glanced around in search of something to give him the higher ground. He snatched up Rouge's fallen lunch tray and ran towards me, holding the thing over his head like an axe he would use to decapitate me. Instead, he simply threw the thing against my skull with all his might, denting the platter and rattling my brain. I fell to the floor with a crash, rolling several feet away, regaining my footing. I stood and panted heavily, the high of battle clouding my vision. The only thing I could see was Sonic's bloody face. I suppose that made it partially my fault when his next punch missed me and hit someone else. He yelled something that I couldn't understand and rushed me with his fist held high. I ducked and feigned right, then threw myself to the left and narrowly avoided what could have been a nasty hit to the face. But I would have taken the hit had I known who had been behind me. Time stopped as Sonic missed me and cracked his fist into Amy's nose. My heart fell into my stomach, and my stomach fell into my toes. She crumpled to the ground like a flower whose stem had been ripped from the earth. I saw blood pool around the place where her face landed. Even Sonic froze in place when he realized what he had done. There was a mixture of feelings storming inside of me when I saw that happen. Regret, terror, guilt, rage. I could not physically identify them then. All I knew for certain was that Sonic was going to have hell to pay for that. He turned around in slow motion, his eyes filled with confusion and bewilderment. Then he saw me and his pupils shrink. My fist connected with the hard bone that lies directly beneath the nose and runs up into the skull. Sonic's open eyes crossed and spun as I took his limp body by the neck and half carried and half dragged him over to an abandoned lunch table. Without thinking, I grasped at a handful of his quills and drove his nose down onto the hard oak. I repeated this process as many times as I could until someone pulled me off of his bleeding form. I snapped out of my frenzy and awoke in the school's front lobby area. Someone was holding an ice pack to my nose when I regained feeling, and I turned to see who it was. My heart skipped a beat when I saw a pink hedgehog with a white bandage over her nose tending to my wounds. "Amy?" I asked, realized my throat was too dry to speak, swallowed, and then asked again, "Amy?" She looked at me surprised to hear me talking. "You're awake." Was I? I shook my head and grabbed my nose. My fingers pulled away like they were bitten by a poisonous snake when I realized how badly my nose hurt. What the hell happened? "You got into a fight," she explained. "With Sonic." Her eyes floated down to the ground below and stayed there. I swallowed hard and ignored the pain in my nose and forehead. It didn't take me long to figure out what I had done wrong. What sort of friend was I to go around beating up the guy she had a crush on? I must have looked like a real bastard. "I'm sorry, Amy." "It's alright, Shadow, really." No, no, it's not alright. It's just, when he said that about Rouge, She kept looking at the floor. The ice pack in her lap began to melt and lose shape. I instinctively picked it up and gently pressed it against her bandaged nose. At first she winced, and then her face glowed pink and with blush. Whether it was the cold ice or the physical contact, I'm not sure, but I was blushing too. He had no right to call her that, Amy finally admitted. It was hard for her to do that, to confess that Sonic wasn't quite the knight in shining armor she had always saw him as. I respected her strength for doing so. I nodded and put an arm around her shoulder, still keeping the ice pack on her face as I did so. And he should have watched where he was swinging, she continued, her voice rising in volume. I shook my head and comforted her. I was good at that. No, Amy. I jumped out of the way. It's my fault you got hurt. Her glasses fogged up with tears as she disagreed. Shadow, he is the one who had hit me. He hit me. I was silent. What the hell was I supposed to say? He hit me, she whispered. He hit me, Shadow. He didn't mean to, I reassured her. Amy, I swear to God, no one alive wants to hurt you. Nobody who knows you wants to hurt you. She buried her face into my shoulder, crying silently into my chest. I dropped the ice and hugged her close to my body. I shushed her sobs and squeezed her shoulders. It was an accident. I swear to you, it was an accident. We sat like that for a few minutes. If Rouge were here, she probably would have said that we looked pretty cute. It felt like hours before Amy lifted her face from my chest. She sniffed and wiped her nose with the sleeve of her jacket. I pried her glasses from the bridge of her nose and cleaned the lenses with the thumb of my glove. I planted them back onto her delicate face, lining the fresh bandage. She smiled at me. We still on for tonight? I asked with a smirk. Yeah, she answered happily, nodding as she did so. I stood and helped her to her feet. You should get to class. I bet the principal wants to talk to me. Amy hesitated. What if they needed to talk to me? I'll talk to them, I promised. You didn't do anything anyways. Now go on, you're probably missing some killer biology lessons or something. She giggled. I always loved it when she did that. It reminded me that there was a God out there who cared about my happiness. Or I was just a lucky bastard. About 2 or 3 seconds after she left, I heard a familiar voice behind me. Even with the bloody nose, you still have time to be a romantic. I was unsurprised to see Rouge standing behind me, arms crossed over her chest. Her eyes were fixed on me with a joking look, but deep inside her, I could see she felt guilty for what happened. I shrugged. There was a pause as Rouge looked down at my shoes nervously. She bit her lip cautiously and took a step towards me. Then she punches my arm. Thanks for that. Well, you know, she said. I shrugged again. Yeah, we're still on for tonight, right? Her face immediately lit up. You know it. I have a plan, remember? I grinned. Same old Rouge. Well, there's chapter 4 for you. I had to redo this chapter because I kept stuttering in the other one. Maybe it's because I didn't have breakfast by the time I did it, so it probably wasn't my mind wasn't ready. But now I was all ready to go, and I did better. Well, tell me how you think how you thought about the story in the comments. Make sure you give Shadow Weasel support, and I hope you all liked it. Bye!